All right, so Heath, why don't you tell us a little bit about what are online reviews?
Hey everyone. Some of you guys I've met at some of the conferences and shows, some of you I haven't, but those of you that I've spoken with about reviews in the past, glad to see you here on this webinar. Some of you guys might already know the topic of this slide here, but we want to just start out on a ground level to make sure everyone has the same understanding. So the first thing we want to cover is what are online reviews, and you might have heard them referred to as business reviews or Google reviews or Facebook reviews, but we're really talking about the same set of things, right? They're really just a tool that you can use to generate more leads and close more deals, right? This is the face of your business online. And you know, as you have seen and as I have seen and done in the past, I evaluate businesses based on the reviews that people give them online, right? So really, what they do is they first of all they generate a really good steady flow of actionable customer feedback. So you can go on any business. For example, I've pulled up a couple here, for example, so you know what they look like if you haven't seen them before. And if you read these reviews, there's some really good little nuggets of insight in there for you as a business owner or for your team based on how they're performing, what they're doing, what they're not doing, etc. So that's a pretty important piece that you should definitely be paying attention to, because it's going to help you tune your business process and how also your customer service process to that, and learn a lot from it. So there's a whole different aspect to online reviews, right? So it's what people are writing about your business online, and then there's also the workflows that come out of that, right? So for example, someone will leave a review online on on Google or Facebook about your business. What are you doing in response to that? There's a whole set of things that should be happening behind the scenes, and the tool that we're going to talk about shortly kind of covers all aspects of that, and what you should be doing based on best practices and things that you can be doing to really go the extra mile to stand out as a business toward in terms of your where you stack up against your competitors. And the idea is that we want to gather and respond to all the reviews online for your business, right? So we have reviews coming in. You might have reviews coming in from Google and from Facebook, and maybe even some other sources as well. And the idea is that you want to try to aggregate as many of them as possible into one centralized place so that you can kind of handle them all in a uniform fashion and make sure that you're super efficient in dealing with this, because as we'll show you later in the presentation, timing does matter. And then finally, it kind of helps, this last point talks to the first one that I mentioned, just try to drive it home a little bit more, is that this is all about gaining critical insight to improve your service. At the end of the day, you're going to be showing prospective customers how well you respond to feedback that your existing customers are giving you, but then you're also going to be taking that information and internalizing it and using it to improve your business process, improve how you service your customers, maybe even improve how you train folks. So there's a lot to get out of this product and just out of online reviews in general. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is, okay, we talked a little bit about online reviews and what they are and, some of the benefits, but I wanted to create this slide here just to basically highlight really how does your business directly benefit from it. Right. So on the left, I have some pieces on how your business benefits. I'll cover those in a second. But on the right, I actually wanted to call out these three statistics that I presented at our user conference this past year, which really highlight a key opportunity for you that some of you might be taking advantage of, some of you might not be taking advantage of, but this is definitely good for awareness all around. So the first statistic is that 89% of consumers read responses to online reviews. So that's not anything mind-blowing, but what it's showing you is that people aren't just there to read the reviews, they actually want to expand and read the responses. So in some situations, they might just be dipping in and taking a look at the business when they're evaluating it. This might be a prospective customer, but if they don't see any responses, it actually turns them off a little bit to the business because it shows a lack of engagement, right? The next one basically highlights that millennials are trusting online reviews as much as a personal recommendation, which is a huge cultural shift, right? So, 15 years ago, a lot of people, maybe even 20 years ago and previous to that, people were getting, business through word of mouth, which was one of the strongest possible opportunities you can have, right? Because it's social proof, right? But now things have shifted, and younger folks, which is also that age range there happens to be right along the sweet spot for home ownership, right? They're taking these online reviews as seriously as a personal recommendation. So not only are they reading them, but they're putting a lot of stock in them. And the bottom one is really the key opportunity for everybody here that's following the webinar here. Most people out of a large sample group, I think the sample group that statistic came out of was over 1,000 people, say that the business never even got back to them after they left a bad review. So there's a huge opportunity here to take advantage of online reviews to differentiate your business from other businesses by simply just responding. So once you respond, we'll move over to the left hand side of the slide here. Potential customers are actually going to notice, right? They'll see that you're committed to hearing what people have to say, and then you're actually responding to everything that they're writing, which really shows that you're dedicated to your online presence, you're dedicated to your prospective and existing customers. And from the existing customers' perspective, they see that you're getting back to them when they leave a review. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good, and then you're following up with them right away. As we talk more about the process that follows after you actually respond to the online review. And then finally, what's additionally in it for you is better online presence and visibility. So there's two aspects of that. The first is the SEO, which you've heard as search engine optimization. And we don't need to go into all the ins and outs of that. It's almost like an art versus a science. But essentially, you will appear higher up in the search results on search engines like Google. You'll be recommended in the search results on Facebook, for example, more frequently than not. And that all goes into paid advertising like Google local service ads. If any of you on the webinar are paying into those, the reviews aspect is one of the main components of Google's algorithm for determining how frequently you show up for a specific search in your locale. So these are all huge, huge reasons why your business definitely benefits from you being actively participating in online reviews. And what we're going to move forward with is how our product helps you address that. So we're going to first kind of outline how this whole thing works. Instead of diving into the product and just pointing out all the bells and whistles and all the cool stuff, we first want you to understand how the online reviews product works from like a business process standpoint. So we've created this diagram to help simplify things for everybody to get a quick high-level overview of how it works. So I'll talk through it, dissect it a little bit for you. So we have a feature in the PestPack mobile app, which will allow technicians to request a review on site. So that's the one way that you can be asking your customers to review you online. Or we have almost like a catch-all. Or for folks that don't have time to keep asking customers manually, we have an automation piece and process that'll go into play here. And what that will do is essentially once the office releases that batch, it'll automatically trigger a request to a customer to review the business online, whether it be through Google or Facebook or wherever you would really like to send them. And we can essentially send that via email. We can send it via text message. That's all configurable on our back end for you guys. And eventually that goes to the customer, and then the customer will read your personalized message, and they'll click on the Google button, they'll click on the Facebook button, and then they'll go and leave a review online, right? That's the overall flow of this whole thing. And then once they leave the review online, all that information is going to flow into the new online reviews product that we've created, and that's basically how the process works. So talking about the products and our product versus other products, we kind of wanted to give you a high-level slide here just to show you how our feature sets stack up against other products' feature sets. So strictly from an like a reviews platform perspective is the mindset that we had when we put this together, and we wanted to highlight the key things at the top here. Really, it's the top three that are the big ones, right? So like I said, we do have that automation in place that's directly integrated in the PestPack, and that's just a massive value add for owner operators, for people that don't feel that their technicians may or may not be asking a customer for review when they're leaving the job site. So the automation really just helps cover you and essentially will just pump more volume out to your customers, which should result in them leaving reviews more frequently, right? So it's kind of like a backup to your business process or a primary way of you getting the desired result of more reviews. So other software review software products do not have that, and no surprise because they're not integrated directly with PestPack. So the next one is what I alluded to earlier, which is the PestPack mobile app. So we've pushed an update to the PestPack mobile application. So now if you're using the mobile app and you have access to the online reviews feature, we've created a way for the technicians just to hit a button and they can trigger a review to go out to the customer right there on the spot, whether it be through text message or through email. And that is also an exclusive integration in the PestPack mobile app that we have that other folks do not. And then finally, we also have the ability for you to actually match reviews from Google and Facebook to PestPack customers. And when you do that, it opens the doors for you to have a lot more cleaner and more uniform follow-up process with your customers. Helps you touch them a lot quicker than if you were kind of putting that process on your employees. And it also gives you insight, most importantly, into who actually left these reviews. Because as you know, someone can go to your Google page that's not a customer of yours and write a review. And you might have a ton of reviews on your Google page and your Facebook page. You might be wondering, well, which, I don't recognize any of these people, or maybe some of them you do. Being able to match them to customers inside of PestPack gives you a ton of insight into their service history, if they've had any problems in the past with your company, just so you know before you go and respond to them online exactly who you're actually dealing with and what their previous history was with you. The last ones on the bottom are pretty industry standard features. For example, the ability to just sync the reviews from Facebook and Google and pull them all into one dashboard. Being able to send through text message or email, again, pretty common. High-level dashboard with different drill-ins. As you'll see, we've got a good amount of that. And then baked-in reporting, right? So, we didn't want to overwhelm everybody with tons and tons of reporting. This product was designed to be very efficient, quick, and collaborative, but at the same time giving you all the necessary information you need to make the right decisions and manage your online reviews a lot more smartly. Or smart. All right, cool. So I'm going to hand it over to Mike, and he is going to do a little bit of a preview so you see what's going on. Of course, if anybody wants like a super deep dive, we'll follow up with that after the webinar. We have people that are able to provide you with like a full walkthrough demo of all the nooks and crannies of online reviews. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mike.
Thank you so much, Heath. And then by all means, if you have any questions on anything that Heath covered, toss it in the GoToWebinar questions pane. We'd be glad to take a look at them towards the end of the session. All right. So now let's talk about some of the features inside of online reviews. The first thing you're going to see when you come into online reviews is your dashboard. This dashboard most prominently will feature review site cards. So a lot of this is going to be card-based. You'll hear me say cards a lot. Because we've made it so that it's simple to understand where your reviews are, who's leaving your reviews, and group them. That's in a card. So this review site card, it's highlighted on the screen for you with the dashboard. Number one, and most importantly, it syncs with the review sites to provide you ratings. So, at some point when you set this up, what you're going to do is log into Google with your Google My Business account or your Facebook account for the business. And we're going to display that here. Now there's some information, there's a lot of information on here. And we can always dive into that more deeply or reach out for that deep dive after the session. And the thing that's going to pop out first, though, is your company response rate. Now, you see the rating there, too, but you could see that anywhere. What's most important about this, and what you're going to see us really talk about a lot, is that you should be responding to every review. And in this case, 79% of the reviews online have been responded to. Good or bad, they're being responded to. This is a great quality metric for you, whether you're an owner or you're the owner-operator. Now also, though not pictured on this specific screenshot, is that you'll be able to show your requests by type. So for instance, the outbound volume of emails. How many emails are you sending? How many SMS messages are you sending? Volume is a great indicator for how many reviews you're going to get. And you want to be able to take a look at this, especially as you're sending the automated reviews and as you're sending manual reviews from PestPack Mobile or the desktop. Also, and this is really fun too, there's going to be a leaderboard. It's going to be at the bottom of the page. And what it'll do is show you when you're sending those manual requests, who is sending them. So whether it's an office user or whether it's someone out in the field, you want to be rewarding people who are requesting reviews, because those reviews will turn into, usually, especially if you're doing it manually, turn into positive reviews on those review sites. So those people are helping your business grow. So you want to be able to display that. Then you're going to talk about the requests page. So this is a pretty fun page, if only because it has a lot of data inside of it. So if you like to go and really dig into the nooks and crannies, number one, we're going to show you an engagement summary. And this is going to show how many of your customers are receiving review requests and are clicking onto review sites. So in this, for example, 2,043 requests sent. Of those, 839 were email, and then 1,209 were text. Now, the really fun thing about this, and for any of you familiar with any marketing software, it's good to know how many you're sending, but to truly understand if your customers are engaged with you, you want to know how many people are clicking. So for instance, in the email requests here, 839 sent, 732 were actually clicked. With text message requests, 451 out of 1209. So obviously lower. What does that tell you? You have to decide for yourself, but it does tell you and give you insight into how to communicate with your customers and which method of these review requests is going to be most efficient. For those of you who really just love digging into the data, we also have a request table. And this is going to break down any of the granular details on those review requests. As a quick example, Jennifer up top, we can see that we sent them a review request on June 9th, and it was an email. Who was it requested by? So that means Jimmy there requested this one manually. The fun thing here is that for any emails that are sent and opened, you'll actually see whether they were delivered, opened, clicked, right from this table. And you can even export this if you want to dig into some of that data, maybe in an Excel pivot table or so. Then, of course, because this is a lot of data, you'll be able to look at your filters. So if you just want to easily track down a request that was sent to a customer and how the status was. And then finally, and this is what Heath was referring to before, and this is really the linchpin of the whole thing, isn't it? The reviews page. Here, you'll have reviews cards. What these are going to do is going to break down your reviews typed in from Google or Facebook or Contact Us, our review site, and you'll be able to do a few things from here. First and foremost, you're going to be able to match reviews customers to customers inside of PestPack. There's going to be a location search. You just search by their name or their email, and then you can say, all right, who is this person? Are they actually a customer? You'll even be able to tell from there whether it was verified or unverified. If it's verified, that means it's a real customer. This helps you and your staff figure out, is someone just leaving me negative reviews for some reason, or is this a real person? Now, if you expand this card and you also happen to have our service reviews module, you'll see any surveys they left about that service. If you don't, that's okay too. You just won't see that. Now, what you need to be doing with this review card is responding to customers. It's very much there where it's going to be, number one, you want to respond to them. We have the dashboard that's going to show you, but also there'll be an alert when if this review has not been responded to. And the nice thing here is, and this is really important, you really don't want to be giving your Google My Business account to a random office staffer. But you may want to give that random office staffer, if you trust them, access in PestPack and access to this module. You are not endangering your Google credentials, which are incredibly important, or Facebook, by giving them access to this page. You can have them respond from inside of PestPack without ever giving them your credentials. Then you can even, once you've matched the customer, because PestPack knows this customer, they know what email is associated with it. You can even send a private email to the customer, as well as log notes and your follow-up activities, all right from the card. And every review you get will be here, and you can filter down if you get a lot of reviews, of course. But the really powerful thing here is empowering your staff to respond on your behalf so that you can actually grow your online presence by showing how committed you are to customer experience and rewarding those who said very nice things and responding to people who maybe didn't say such a nice thing. Now, there are a few other actions with the review cards. So for instance, maybe you don't have time at the moment. So this is Carmen Springer here, and she doesn't recommend us on Facebook. Maybe you can flag the card for later follow-up, and then you filter that out later. You could also share the review with other team members. So you can send it over to them and say, hey, why don't you go check this out? And of course, hide and show the card if you're done looking at it. So again, it's all about these cards and having information in a digestible way so that you and your staff, especially if you're not familiar with responding to reviews online, can you do it all from one place and securely inside of PestPack. But okay, if you have any questions about any of those cards we talked about, please, again, toss them in the questions pane. We'll hit them up towards the end. Let's talk a little bit about some review best practices. Because of course you're giving people access to respond to reviews, or you're responding to reviews. So here's a few things you really do need to keep in mind. If someone leaves you a happy review, you want to thank them for their feedback always and let them know you appreciate your business. Unhappy reviews, this is important too. Consumers expect to see unhappy reviews. As a matter of fact, studies show that if they don't see any unhappy reviews, they assume it's fake. So you actually need to use this as a chance to prove to any potential customers that you are a business worth dealing with because you take concerns seriously. You want to be polite. You want to thank them for bringing this to your attention. You want to indicate that you'll be following up with them directly, and you want to contact the customer ASAP. Now that could be phone or email, and you want to indicate that you're willing to take this with the customer offline. Now, of course, for an abusive review, it's best to just not respond and flag as inappropriate and report to the review site, Google or Facebook, because of course, they don't want to stand for the abusive reviews. But if it's just unhappy, respond, respond, respond. And if it's happy, respond, respond, respond.
All righty. Mike has given me control here for the last page here where we're going to be wrapping up, and then we're going to go into some questions and answers where I can dive into more questions on the actual module and its capabilities or just anything in general. But as Mike mentioned, if it's one thing that everybody takes away from this webinar that I'd like you to, it's to respond to all of your reviews. That's really the single most thing you can do to win more business, because someone, they leave you a review and the only thing you can really do to that review is respond. And it's how you respond, it's how frequently you respond, it's how timely your response is. So like Mike said, respond, respond, respond. That's really what we'd like you to, take away from this webinar. But also keep in mind that bad reviews are important. They really are. Mike just hit on it himself. And it's really giving people the opportunity, gives you a chance to show that you guys can make it right. And it's very important when prospective customers come and see that and see how that exchange went between the company and the person that left the review. And yeah, it makes your company look real. People do expect bad reviews, so don't fear them. Don't do what you can to get them removed or anything like that. They're okay. And then finally, reviews are really a team effort. So, in speaking with different customers and other folks about review products and phone calls I've had with customers, I've always heard, oh, there's one other person in the office that does this or something like that, but no one else really has any involvement in it. And I'm sure that's fine for some folks where there only is one person in the business, right? But if you have the resources, you should really try to train and empower your employees to all ask, to ask for reviews in all aspects of the business, right? So it might be someone that's doing scheduling. There's absolutely no reason why they can't ask a customer who's been delighted or would love to leave feedback to leave your review online. Same thing with folks out in the field, right? We shouldn't, there's definitely a good opportunity for them to collect reviews right on the spot, which is an excellent feature in the PestPack mobile app that we released. But at the same time, we don't want to put all the workload on just some folks. We want to make it very collaborative, and that's one of the reasons why we have, developed the application the way that we did. And yeah, I think it's a great thing, and we're definitely looking forward to some of the questions that you guys have.
Thank you, Heath. So we're going to take a look at those questions and start going over them. But in the meantime, just want to remind you to mark your calendars for 2 PestPack University sessions we have coming up in March as we get ready to get the new online reviews into your hands. The first one's going to be a basic session, right? Online reviews in PestPack. And you're going to learn how to set up and use the module. We'll be holding that one on March 17th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. And then kind of to what Heath was just talking about, at the end of the month, we definitely, so for the first one, definitely invite people who are going to be setting up and using the module, but especially for people who are less involved in the actual setting of the rules for automated review requests, access templates, all that stuff. The response really is key. So we're going to be talking about best practices for responding to online reviews. Send anyone in the company who would respond on behalf of you on Google or Facebook. And so we'll be doing that session on March 26th, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. You'll be receiving an invite along with the follow-up email to this for the first session, and then look in your emails for the for the invite, the normal PestPack University invite for the session at the end of March. And then, as we wait for some of those questions to come in, mark your calendars again. The WorkWave User Conference is going to be 2020. WorkWave User Conference 2020 is in Austin, November 9th to the 12th.